Okay, I finally finished reading Sabriel by Garth Nix. I still give it a 5 out of 5. I first read it when I was 15. I'm 32 now, and the book still is a banger book, still is a good book. I love it. There's nothing much that I can complain about. Like, I love Sabriel, I love Touchstone, I love Mogget. Like, it's just such a fun book. And as usual, I love Sabriel because, like, yes, she's the typical badass heroine that is independent and she's capable and she can do whatever. But I like how Garth Nix, the author, still humanizes her. For example, yes, she's all these qualities, but she is still a teenage girl that is just thrusted into this world that she doesn't know anything of. All she knows is that she needs to save her dad. Come hell or high water, you know?
Is I'm
So I
still
appreciate.
reading Lirael. I kind of had to stop reading for a bit because, again, I was feeling feverish, so I couldn't continue reading after I finished Grab. But I did finish up until page 150. So today I continued reading when I woke up, and I'm reading up until page 165. And I have to say that Lirael, again, I don't think it's the book for me, and it's not the book's fault. I think this is just a personal preference because I feel like Lirael's character is kind of annoying to me. Not as annoying as she used to be, because when I was younger, when I read her character, I just found her to be so annoying and so depressing. But now, as an adult, I'm just kind of like, okay, like she's not as bad as I remember her to be. But I do wish there's still more action, like it was in Sabriel. But I do understand that those two, Sabriel and Lirael, are two different types of bugs, so it's nothing against the bugs. But I do find it so annoying how how Prince Sameth, Prince Sam basically, which is the youngest son or the second child of Sabriel. I just find it so, I guess it's the folly of youth because he went into death without anything. No sword, no bells, no nothing. And he just thought like, okay, I don't know what he thought. I'm pretty sure he just thought like, okay, I am the Abhorsen in waiting and my mom's Sabriel, so I think I have special privileges. But I'm just kind of like, girl, in this world there is no special privileges. You die or you don't, that's it. And I'm just kind of like, what was he thinking going into death knowing there's a necromancer? Like, what was your game plan exactly, you know? Did you even think? And it's just so annoying for me because I'm just like, you didn't think, did you? And now you have PTSD. And I'm just kind of like, so annoying. It's so annoying when I read about characters that make these human mistakes. I get it. I empathize. I also make human mistakes, but reading it and knowing how it will affect the world and the plot is just kind of like, oh, why did you do that? You know? But I have to say that reading Lirael, it just makes me kind of realize that when you have a very important job like Abhorsen, you really cannot be a good parent because, like Sabriel, she is the one and only Abhorsen currently in the Old Kingdom. There's only one of her. She's like Aang the Last Avatar, you know? No, Aang the Last Airbender. Like, that's it. She's the only one left. If she dies, they are all fucked. So I'm just kind of like, I feel bad for her kids, like how I feel bad how Aang doesn't spend time with his own kids. But at the same time, it's like, it's understandable why they can't be there for their kids. It's like, it's either they spend time with their kids or another city is like completely destroyed by a necromancer or dead hands or whatever, you know? So I'm just kind of like, forgot just how annoying Prince Sam is. Like, all he does is complain and complain and complain and constantly complain that he doesn't like this, he doesn't like that, he misses his parents. I get it. He's 17 and he's allowed to miss his parents, especially after a very trying time of being attacked by a necromancer. But it's just like, bro, you gotta get your shit together, man. He's constantly like complaining, and I'm like, why do you sound like a bitch? Stop being a bitch and do something about it, you know? Either you stand up to your sister and just say, bitch, fuck off, or honestly do something about it, because at this point I am so sick and tired of reading his POV that I'm just kind of like, can we go back to Lirael? At least she does something, you know. Yes, she does get depressed and whatnot because she's not a Claire, how do you say that, Claire, she doesn't have the sight of the Claire basically, but it's like she does something about it, she improves herself, she learns shit. I don't know what Prince Sam is doing with his time at this point, is just constantly complaining, and I'm just kind of like, you are so annoying.
And good news, finally good news. I have finally finished reading Lirael, and honestly, I'm so glad I finally finished reading it, because I've just had enough with the self-pity and the wallowing and the just I've just had enough, okay? It's just like, okay, I understand that you two, Prince Sam and Lirael, I understand that you guys think that you're not the shit, that you guys think that you can't do this, but I've had enough. At least with Lirael, she actually worked on herself. Yes, she had like self-pity and she did have slight depression and she felt like she wasn't enough or she wasn't good enough. But the thing is, at least with Lirael, even though it was a bit slow, she did start to improve herself. She started to study, she took her job as a librarian seriously. She went adventuring, like she knew she couldn't be like one of the Claire, and it still affected her even like years after, which is normal. But at the same time, she kind of like realizes, you know what? Rather than just being sad and wallowing in self pity, like I gotta do something else. I gotta distract myself and do something else. So I really like that. Unlike Prince Sam, like the dude is just so annoying. He's a I wouldn't say he's a coward, but at the same time, it's just kind of like you don't even want to try. Like, are you okay? Are you okay? But so all in all, I give Lirael a 2.5 out of 5. And finally, I am reading Abhorsen, and I'm excited to read it because Abhorsen is like my second favorite in the series.
Okay, I am proud to say, first of all, it is 3 in the morning, but that's not the point. The point is, I am proud to say I finished Abhorsen. Okay, it did take me like 2 days technically. I mean, if you condense the active reading time, it's only 1 day, but 2 days. So I finally finished Abhorsen, loved it, 4 out of 5. I don't know. I changed my mind. I give it a 5 out of 5 because I did cry towards the end. Because towards the end, the disreputable dog died, and I cried like a baby because she and I and her, she and me, we were like this. I was really invested in her character. I knew she already died. I mean, I read this book ages ago, but I still wasn't prepared for it. I still cried anyway because I'm like, why? I understand how Lirael feels like her best friend died, and she's just like absolutely devastated. And I too was devastated reading it. So, loved it, definitely 5 out of 5. So my overall review is that even though I did not enjoy reading Lirael whatsoever, in the grand scheme of things, I am appreciative of the book because if Lirael didn't exist, Abhorsen wouldn't be a strong book as it is. It's still great as a standalone, but the emotional impact wouldn't be as great without Lirael. So that's why these two books, you have to read it back to back because these two books are essentially one book, just split to two. That's why the pacing for the second book is a bit off for me because it's giving you a lot of details, a lot of emotional background, and what is it? I forgot what's the word, but it's giving you all the background to understand the main characters in Lirael. So once you start reading Abhorsen, it all comes together, you know? Okay, so it's been a few days since I last updated on my reading status, and I have finished one novella. And the novella is The Creature in the Case, which is a novella starring Nicholas Sayer. It's good. I had fun reading it. It's a nice short story. Nice. I don't know. I never know how to rate novellas because it's too short for me to really have an opinion on it, except for the fact that I did enjoy it. So that's that. And I have started reading Clariel, and I'm like halfway right now through Clariel. I think I'm like either 48% or 50% in through reading it, and I have to say the pacing of Clariel is not as slow nor as tedious as Lirael, but it is still a tedious read for me. It just feels like nothing is happening and I'm halfway through the book and finally we're kind of picking up the pace, but at the same time I'm like, okay, when is anything going to happen? We're halfway through the book and the only thing that I know about this book is that Clariel really likes the forests. She doesn't know how to use charter magic, and she just really, really likes the forest. She really wants to go back to the forest. So Clariel right now, she is basically like a lady. Think Regency, I think, or like earlier than that, but she's a lady from a noble house. She likes to hunt and everything, but obviously being a lady, she's not allowed to do that. And that's her whole plan. She just really wants to go back to the forest and just like live her best forest life. But she has to do her lady duties, I suppose, in Belisaire, which is like the main capital of the Old Kingdom. Aside from that, like it's the same as Lirael. It's like I appreciate the fact that um, the author Garth Nix is giving us a completely different situation in this new book because Clariel is set 600 years before Sabriel. So in Sabriel, the Old Kingdom was just like in ruins. There's no castle, there's no monarchy, there's no ruler. Like everything is just the Wild West, you know, everything is going up to smithereens. But 600 years ago, everything was so peaceful, everything was so calm and tranquil, so much so that the people of the Old Kingdom view the charter magic as a relic of the past. Most of the noble houses, they don't take their role seriously. The Abhorsen is not doing his job. The king is not doing his job. Nobody except maybe the Clare are doing their job. Everybody who has the title or is of the major bloodlines, they don't take the job seriously because everything is so peaceful right now. And I appreciate reading it because it gives a different perspective on how the Old Kingdom used to be. Because the Old Kingdom that I know, they're just like in ruins. Everything is just anarchy, right now. Everybody's just doing their own thing, and Sabriel and Lirael are just like constantly busy putting out so many fires from all the free magic that's running around. But 600 years ago, everything was so calm, everything was too peaceful that nobody wanted to use charter magic anymore because they felt like that is for the plebs, that is for the normal people who has to learn how to use charter magic. That's not for the noble, that's not for the nobility where they can pay somebody to do that magic for them. And it's just interesting, and it just made me think like, wow, is that what peace is? Like, you is that how the old kingdom is going to be in Lirael's timeline, or maybe like on a later timeline, like maybe once peace, absolute peace has been achieved, is that how the old kingdom is going to be like? It's going to go back to being so peaceful that nobody knows how to use charter magic anymore. And it's quite interesting because here, like when I read Clariel's perspective, she doesn't really know how to use charter magic. She knows how to fight, yes, but she doesn't really know how to use charter magic, unlike Sabriel and Lirael, who can use charter magic easily. It just comes so easily to them. But Clariel, on the other hand, it's like when you have a hobby, but you haven't done that hobby in a while, so everything's a bit rusty. That's how it is with her. She can do charter magic, but it does take her a while because she doesn't practice it. What else? What else? Oh, whilst I was reading Clariel, I seriously got annoyed with just how many times that she constantly references the fact that she wants to either join the borderers or she wants to go back to the forest, which is Eastwell, I think. And it just annoyed me because I get it. Okay, the first few times you told me that you wanted to go back to the forest because that is your true habitat, that is where you're truly happy. I get it, but for the fact that it kept being constantly brought up again and again and again, and I'm just like, I get it, okay? I get it. Can we move on? Can we move on to something else? Because I'm tired. I'm tired of listening to you constantly say that you want to go back to the forest, but nothing is happening. Nothing is happening for you to achieve that dream as of right now. And the part where it finally picks up is when there's this underground secret society that is trying to uphold the old ways of charter magic and the Abhorsens and ensuring free magic doesn't have a free reign. So they are recruiting Clariel to join them, and this is because number one, she is the Abhorsen's granddaughter, and second, she is a berserk and she has more affinity for free magic than charter magic. So think of it as Anakin Skywalker. Anakin Skywalker is powerful with using the Force, but he is leaning more towards the dark side as opposed to the Jedi's way. So just think of it like that. And with her, she realizes like she met with the free magic creature and she empathized with the free magic creature because she's like thinking, I don't like to be bottled up, I don't like to be caged. So she empathized with the free magic creature and kind of let the creature go slightly early before the other charter mages could bind it. And then how she held on and how she made the free magic creature submit to her will is just through sheer willpower, and that scares the other charter mages whose name I completely forgot, because that is how a free magic sorcerer gets their power. They don't use, or necromancer, they don't use bells like the Abhorsen to bind a free magic being to their will. They use their own willpower to bind the other free magic creature to bend to their will. and that is dangerous because that's what Clariel is doing, and obviously she's shocked and she's like thinking what's happening to me, and finally things are picking up, but
Reading, like I'm finally 80% through Clariel, and the reason why I'm finally getting the reading groove back in, it's because something has finally happened in this book and it's starting to pick up speed, although it took forever to pick up the speed. But I'm just glad that the speed has picked up eventually. And I went to Reddit to see if anybody had the same feelings as I did over this book, and obviously there were quite a few, but a few of them did feel bad for Clariel. Like she's this kid that just wants to be left alone, that wants to live her life alone and everything. But honestly, as much as I empathize and sympathize with her because she's only 17 in this book, I kind of don't like her character because she's such a. I just feel like everybody. This is the instance of everybody is the asshole in this book. If this is a Reddit post of the AITA, everybody is the asshole. But she's less of an asshole, but still an asshole because it's like she's just this. I just feel like she's so selfish. Why couldn't you genuinely have a plan? It seems like you don't have a plan. And I just don't understand why the author just keeps on bringing up the fact that she wants to go to the Great Forest. Like, I understand it's to the core of Clariel's characterization, her motivation, and everything, but it just started to get annoying because I just couldn't understand why she wanted that. I just couldn't understand that urge, that calling that she has to go back to the Great Forest. Because as an adult, as a 32-year-old, I'm just like thinking, what was your plan, Clariel? What was your 5-year plan to live in the Great Forest? What was the plan? You know? Did you genuinely think that it was going to work out? Like, and if it was, how are you going to you had no plan. There was no 5 months plan, there was no 1 year plan, there was no 5 years plan. So it just completely, it went over my head over why she had this innate calling to go to the Great Forest, because I'm just like, why do you want there to go there so bad? I don't understand. And because I didn't understand her motivation, it's like seeing her make these mistakes just aggravates me, because she says she wants to be free, she wants to get out, because right now in the book she is stuck, or she is a prisoner in the Abhorsen's house, and she wants to get out to, I think, save Aunt Lemon. But I don't think so, because it's like I feel like that's only the superficial reason. And I feel like her core reason to really want to escape the Abhorsen's house is just so she could go back to that goddamn Great Forest shit again. And it's just so annoying for me. And then she says like she just wants to be free. So Mogget is like egging her on, like say, oh, you can use these free magic creatures to get out, because every other way to get out is like closed to you. You can't cross the bridge, you can't use a paper wing, you can't use nothing to get out of the Abhorsen's house. So the only other way would be to use a free magic creature. And then she's kind of like, oh yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And I'm just kind of like, girl, if you just give this maybe 5 more minutes to think about it, because what you are asking, or what you want to do, is subjugating other free magic creatures to be subjugated to your will. You are enslaving the other free magic creatures to ensure your freedom. That goes against your principle, girl. Like, what is the plan? I just. And I understand that this whole ethos and principle, or whatever it is about this book, is to show that when people of power shirk their responsibilities and their duties, shit happens. I get it. But it doesn't make it any easier to read Clariel's perspective, Clariel's story, because I know that she will eventually become Clore of the Mask. And I just kind of want to say, don't do it. Just don't. Take a breather, take some time, because you literally just arrived in the Abhorsen's house. You don't know charter magic. You don't know these free magic creatures that you want to interact with. You don't understand how sly and how manipulative Mogget can be. Because this is Mogget of 600 years ago. This is not Sabriel or Lirael's Mogget. This is Mogget when he was still evil, basically. And I'm just kind of, you don't understand what you're getting into. And then she feels like she's so desperate for freedom that she doesn't care, that she doesn't want to sit down and just think about what she's doing, you know? And it just annoys me because this is such a teenager way of thinking, you know? As an older person, you just kind of like, you, as an older person, you learn the hard way to realize that this way of thinking and this way of doing things does not work. You need a game plan. You need to step back and reevaluate the situation. But obviously, she's 17 and her family just died. Everybody is dead. So at the same time, I understand, but it doesn't make it any easier. So I'm just gonna finish this book so I can put myself out of this misery. I will come back once I finish the book.
Okay, I finally finished reading Clariel, and today is like Saturday and it's 9 a.m. And my review for this book is I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 for the reading, and the review is this. So, the pacing was so off for the first half of the book, as it was so slow, and the plot didn't even matter because there was political intrigue and whatnot in the first half of the book, but then it just didn't matter towards the end. So it makes me question, why then did the first half of the book take up so much time and space if it wasn't even going to be included in the main plot. And the reason why I say this is because the first half, the author chose to focus a lot on the political intrigue and the whole of like Clariel really wanting to go back to the Great Forest and setting up the society, the Old Kingdom society of at that time. Is that even correct English? Basically setting up the society of the Old Kingdom at the time, where they didn't view free magic or charter magic as important. They um, they viewed it as relics because everything was so peaceful. So they didn't really care, and they didn't really bother to learn the history of everything. I mean, in hindsight, as you see it overall, it does come into play, but I wish that it didn't take half of the book for the author to set everything up, because it literally took like 50% of the book, 50 to 60% of the book to set up this whole political intrigue, to set up the background and the society at the time. And then by the time you get to the latter half of the book, it just went at a breakneck speed, because it's like I said here, the last half the pace started to pick up and it went at a breakneck speed where everything just went by so fast. For example, it's like obviously, spoiler alert, Clariel's parents got killed and she was brought to the Abhorsen's house, and she just arrived at the Abhorsen's house. Give it a day or two before she got influenced by Mogget, and then next thing you know, she's already becoming a free magic necromancer or sorcerer, and she's already going to Belisare, the palace, and just starting to kill everybody. And it's just like, if the author could write the latter half of the book with that fast of a pacing, why couldn't the same be done for the first half? Because the first half, honestly, it was just so hard for me to read, not because it was interesting, but because it was just so slow. So the next thing is, I feel bad for Clariel because her naivety caused her a lot of harm for no fucking reason. I understood why she did what she did, because she didn't have the full comprehension, but then again, nobody did at the time, because nobody who mattered didn't give a shit. And the reason why I say this is because the king didn't give a shit, the Abhorsen, the current Abhorsen didn't give a shit, and basically nobody gave two shits at the time. Nobody cared because again, it goes back to um, everything in the Old Kingdom being too peaceful that nobody really took their roles seriously. Which kind of makes sense because if everything was peaceful for decades and decades and decades, nothing serious has been happening, it's really hard to take your role as either the Abhorsen or anybody else seriously unless you're the king. Then you kind of have to, regardless of whether there's free magic creatures, because you have to be a good project manager, you know? You're handling the whole kingdom, but this king, for God knows what, just gave up on life. Like, I don't know, if you feel like you're not up to the job, just quit and give it to somebody who wants to do it. Give it to a regent or whatever. But he's just so dead set on giving it to his granddaughter, who also doesn't want the power. So I don't understand what's happening. Next is um, I continued, but she should have calmed the fuck down. Clariel should have calmed down. Why couldn't she wait for a bit? Why couldn't she wait a few days? Like I said, she literally arrived at the Abhorsen's house. Then in the next 2 to 3 days, she went absolutely rogue. But but at the same time, I can't fully blame her either, because she was this girl who didn't understand free magic nor charter magic, because the society at the time didn't put stock into these relics. And it's just sad to see her and knowing she will be Clore of the Mosque. And it's like I understood why towards the end, spoiler alert, Belatiel did let her go, because in Bel's perspective, he didn't see Clariel as this necromancer, this free magic necromancer. He still saw her as Clariel before all of this occurred, before like she got um, tainted by the free magic creatures, before her charter magic was corrupted. So I understand why he let her go. I don't agree with it, but at the same time, I understood why. Because again, it goes back to the society and everybody in this time. None of them were properly educated on how dangerous free magic creatures were or are. And so he probably thought like, oh, Clariel's still gonna be Clariel, not fully understanding that this poor girl has been corrupted. She's not fully herself anymore. He probably doesn't understand that because she has been tainted by free magic, that allure is going to constantly be there. He probably thinks like, oh, nobody would want to associate with free magic because he is obviously with charter magic. He doesn't understand. And so he doesn't understand how intoxicating free magic is, and that's probably why he let her go. Plus, he also has a crush on her, and he's definitely biased, which brings me to the next point, which is Garth Nix, the author, really cannot write romance. He really cannot write romance. He cannot write any tension with romance, because I feel like, as a bit wonky or clunky the pacing is, the parts where Belle was expressing his feelings, his romantic feelings for Clariel, and every time those two have a kind of romantic scene together, it was the clunkiest part of the book, because I just felt like it just didn't compute to me as to why Belle had these deep feelings for Clariel, because I'm like, you just met her, you don't know her. Because Clariel in this book really didn't like to associate with anybody. She didn't like to hang out with nobody else. She just wanted to go back to the forest. So I didn't understand where these deep emotions came from, considering the fact that they barely had any scenes together, because she didn't want to be together with him for too long. So I didn't understand what's up with that. Like, why did he have these deep feelings for this girl? Is it because she's kind of like Bella Swan, like not like the other girls type of character? I don't know. So next is, I understood completely why Clariel eventually became Clore of the Mosque, because we have to understand that this poor girl is extremely traumatized. She couldn't get what she wanted, which is to go to the Great Forest. She lost her family. She lost her connection to the to. Oh my God! She lost the connection to charter magic. And she's essentially exiled. She has nobody, nothing, no one, not even charter magic to feel safe. She is adrift, alone, and isolated. And now Belle has essentially exiled her to go to a forest, not even the forest that she wants, all alone. So this poor girl who's traumatized and has nobody, no support system, not even her aunt because she's on the run. Obviously, it's like she's going to want to go back and try free magic again because the free magic thoughts that she has in her head right now are intrusive thoughts. No matter how strong your willpower is, eventually it will wear thin. And all that intrusive thought needs, is like the Joker said, it's just one bad day, just one moment of weakness for her to just have that one moment of weakness. And she's just like, you know what? Let me just try free magic again because I am alone. I am weak and vulnerable. I need help. So for her to tap into the free magic um, situation or use free magic again, it's not. It's definitely within the realms of possibility. So I wish Belle didn't like exile her and let her go, but neither can I completely blame him either because he literally just became the Abhorsen what seems to be overnight, and suddenly he has to handle this huge ass issue, and the antagonist that he's currently fighting with is his crush. So he's probably dealing with a lot of emotions and confusion, and it didn't help that he didn't know what he didn't know.
Finally see the beach? No, we finally see the pool. Yes. Yes. Yes, you hijabi pelampung monster. Huh? So yesterday I read. Oh, by the way, I'm reading Goldenhand right now by Garth Nix. Finally, I read up until page 100. No, that's a lie. I read until page 76, I think. Or is it 100 plus? No, it's 111 yesterday. And today, Tuesday, I'm at page 180. Oh no, my battery's low. Damn it, I haven't charged it. So I'm at 180 today. And so in Goldenhand, we get two POVs. The first POV is from Lirael's, well, not really POV, but kind of like two stories that are being told concurrently. So the first story is Lirael and Nicholas Sayre, and then the second story is Farron, who is supposed to be this girl offering that was going to be given to Clore of the Mask, but considering Clore of the Mask has now become the greater dead, she doesn't really need the bodies of these girls anymore, so she's just kind of like killed them all. But Farron's clan has a Claire woman, a Claire seer in their community, which, due to Reddit, I know it's Lirael's mom, so the Claire girl, the Claire seer, my god, the Claire seer is telling them, okay, Clore of the Mask will die, but you need to pass this very, very important message to my people. It's a do or die. So her clan was just kind of like, you know what, you are the best of us, you are literate, you are smart, you are fast, you know how to fight, because as the offering, hence her name, Farron, as the offering, she was given all this education because Clore of the Mask wants the best of the best from each clan, should she choose any one of them. So she goes and tries to go to the glacier where the Claire are, and she's currently being hunted by the the other clans, because there's like 20 clans, by the way. There's 20 clans, and 19 of them still follow Clore of the Mask, either because they want more power or either they're terrified of her. But they call her the witch with no face or something. So her clan, I can't remember which number, but her clan was like, we gotta put a stop to this. We need her to send this important message. And off she goes, and she's just being hunted down. And mind you, because she's a nomad, she doesn't know how to use charter magic. So she's just a normal hunter being hunted by sorcerers who knows how to use free magic. Does it make sense? Am I making sense to anybody? So that is where I am, and I have to say, I'm like halfway through the book right now. I prefer Lirael's story more than Farron's story right now, because right now in Farron's story, I don't know what the message is, but I know it's very important, probably something to do with Clore of the Moss and maybe how to kill her. But right now, all that's happening is just her running away and struggling to survive, as opposed to Lirael's story, where she meets up back with Nick again, and she's trying to discover what is up with Nicholas and the power that he has, which is both free magic and charter magic within himself. Because when they were at the wall, the charter magic and the charter stones reacted to him, and they kind of like flowed into him, which freaked everybody out, especially Lirael, because she has no idea what's happening. Hence why they went to the glacier, because she's like thinking, I need help. Sabriel and Touchstone is on vacation. I don't want to bother them. This doesn't seem to be an emergency. So I think it's best we go to the glacier and see if we can get help. So this is where we are right now.
And I finally finished reading Goldenhand, and I give this book a 3 out of 5. I actually wanted to like this more, but alas, towards the end, I just was skimming a lot and skipping a few pages because I just wanted to get the book over with, which means that my immersion is just not there. The book has lost me. And mostly, I feel like I just didn't like the pacing of this plot. I mean, the pacing of the plot for the book, because it's like we have two stories, they're happening concurrently. We have Lirael's story, we have Farron's story. So I felt like the pacing for these two stories was a mismatch and just made me not enjoy it as much. The thing that completely ruined my immersion, I would say, would be the fact that the author really cannot write any romance, because the romance between Lirael and Nick was just so ham-fisted and so forced. It was just so bizarre reading it, because okay, I did read the novella, so from there you can see like hints that they kind of were interested in each other, just hints. It wasn't really a full-fledged crush or anything. So right after the novella of The Creature in the Case, we go to Goldenhand, and so they meet up and they have these they talk and everything just like normal, and then suddenly towards the end, like obviously they feel self-conscious with each other because they kind of have a fledgling crush on each other, but then towards the end suddenly they're just having a full makeout sesh, and then they just become horn dogs where all they want to do is just make out with each other. And I'm just here absolutely confused, because there was no instances of where it was shown that they have communication with each other. When, what do you call it, Nick was in Ancelstir and obviously Lirael was in the Old Kingdom, they didn't show it. They didn't, I mean, it was shown, but in my mind, it's more of kind of like you just send the random letter once every 3 months to a friend. It didn't show that they had this deep-seated connection with each other. They had this long-standing communication with each other, either through letters or whatever, that made them have this deep feelings for one another, because suddenly it started out from being a crush, and then next thing you know, they already have such deep feelings and they're already saying I love yous to each other, and I'm just confused because why do they like each other? What is going on? I don't understand why Nick likes Lirael and vice versa, because it's not shown, nor was it explained in the book. You don't get any cute scenes with each other. It's just suddenly one day they have a crush and the next day they're just horn dogs. And I'm just, what? At least with Sabriel, it's more subtle. I mean, as subtle as Garth Nix can be writing romance, but it made sense. It made sense within their story that on the they've been on the I guess on the road together. They faced so many enemies together. So obviously with these types of high emotions, feelings would be there, romantic feelings would be there for each other. But for Nick and Lirael, I just felt like what's happening? What is happening right now? Because it just felt so forced. And because it felt so forced, the last part towards the end where they're kind of glad, like Lirael comes back from the dead, and then she is obviously happy to see Nick, and then he's happy to see her, and they're professing their love, and the future, the future possibilities of them being together. I just felt like it fell flat because for me, I'm still hooked. I'm still like hung up over the fact that it happened too fast. Like you guys are just like, what is happening, basically? So the fact that the pacing for their romance just literally went like the speed of light, it just made the ending fell flat for me, and it just made me feel kind of like, well, it feels unearned. That professing of love, the whole like, the disreputable dog says she's gonna come to their wedding. It just fell flat for me because it's like you didn't earn that. You didn't earn it. For example, the reason why I cried after reading Abhorsen when the disreputable dog died is because we had a whole book. Basically, we had two books, from Lirael to Abhorsen, learning and knowing about the disreputable dog, how her relationship is with Lirael, why she's there, how fun she is. We know her as a character. We know her as um, her what she did for the book and everything. So when she died towards the end, the feeling that it conjured up within myself felt earned because we know her. But in this book, Lirael's and Nick's relationship, it just felt so unearned that I truly didn't give a shit. So yeah, that is my kind of review. I hope you get it. So now I am reading Terciel and Elinor, and I am worried. I am very, very, very worried because I really do not like, what do you call it, Garth Nix's attempts in writing romance, because it didn't work in Clariel. It felt ham-fisted there too, and it definitely didn't work in Goldenhand. And now we're reading about Terciel and Elinor, who are Sabriel's parents, and I'm just kind of like, I'm so worried I'm not going to enjoy this book because he is not good at writing romance. Okay, so I have a few thoughts. Today is Friday, and I am 271 pages in reading Terciel and Elinor. So the first thing is I read Reddit, and Reddit questioned why did Terciel's skin color was not naturally pale or white since he was born as compared to his daughters Sabriel and Lirael. And my thoughts is probably because unlike Sabriel and Lirael, when he became the Abhorsen in training, he was not the first in line to be the Abhorsen in training. He was the spare's spare because he only became the Abhorsen in training because his sister died. His elder sister was the first Abhorsen in training for Tizaniel. So after she died, he became the Abhorsen in training. So my thoughts is Lirael and Sabriel, they are the only ones left. They are the only ones left because Terciel was the Abhorsen at the time. He obviously had his daughter, and his daughter is the only one that had the direct Abhorsen blood, and soon after Lirael, because he died. So then Sabriel is the only Abhorsen left, and then Lirael was born, and Lirael is the only one left aside from Sabriel that has the Abhorsen blood. So I think if the Abhorsen, there were more of them, there were more bloodlines of the Abhorsen, their coloring will only change once it is confirmed that they will be the Abhorsen or Abhorsen in waiting or Abhorsen in training. But if they are not confirmed by the charter to be the Abhorsen, they still have some color in their skin. And then the next thing is, it's so cute. I really, really like Elinor. I think she's such a fun character. And now she's like talking to Terciel about their life, and she's juggling and like she's quoting their version of Shakespeare. And I'm just reading it and I'm like thinking, I can see why you fell in love with her, to be honest with you. And I'm just like, I can see why Mirelle left you two together, because she's just like saying, you know what, Terciel, I know you said you didn't want kids because you didn't want them to be the Abhorsen, but we saw you in the future having two kids, and I think Elinor will be a good match. And honestly, they're cute. They seem really cute together. At least I can see why he likes her, because I like her. She's so much fun. And yes, her ignorance at the start of the book was stressing me out, but not any fault of her own. It's not her fault that she was ignorant to her heritage and her lineage. So it was stressing me out because I just wanted her to be safe from things that she didn't know about. But her personality, herself, I really like it. She's really cute. She's really fun. What else? Also, another thing that I was thinking about is like, why is nobody nice to Mogget? I mean, like, yes, I understand he's a free magic creature that's binded by Saraneth currently in the plotline, but he comes as a cute little kitty cat. I don't know. I just feel like, why is nobody nice to him? I I feel like if people were kind of nice to him, he would, be more cooperative, because Sam was nice to him and he visits Sam sometimes. He still does his own thing, his own free magic thing of being free. I mean, after centuries of being essentially a slave, like, yeah, I would run around too. But like, Sam was nice to him, always gave him fish and stuff, so he always comes to Sam to help out. So I'm just like thinking, I understand the bias against free magic, but when he comes to you as a cute little kitty cat, why are you guys so mean? So, I did it, guys. I finally did it. I actually finished Terciel and Elinor, which is the last book in the Old Kingdom series. It only took me 3 to 4 weeks. So, my short review of Terciel and Elinor is that I give it 4 stars out of 5. I really enjoyed the characters. It was fun reading Terciel and Elinor, who are obviously the parents of Sabriel. It's fun seeing them young and have doubts and make mistakes and just be young. Because when we read on Terciel and Sabriel, he's such a serious character that you can't imagine him being young. It's kind of like with your parents, where you never think that they used to be young once. So another thing that I like is, obviously, I liked Elinor. I completely understood why Terciel fell in love with her and liked her, because she's such a fun character. She's so much fun to read. What else? I like the plot. Oh, I have to say that I like the pacing for this book, because my main complaint in Goldenhand was that the pacing for the two POVs before they merge were a mismatch. One was really fast, one was kind of like mid, and then it just took me out of the story. It ruined the immersion. But I feel like in this book, the pacing for the two POVs before they merged together into one story, it suited each other. They were both at the same pace, and I felt like it was nice. It didn't
it was not jarring to read, because like in Goldenhand it was quite jarring. Like I said, one was really fast, one was really slow. So going back and forth was just kind of like it made me have a headache. But here I feel like the pacing matched each other, which was great. What else do I like? I think that's it. I mean, like, if I have more, I'll probably talk about it more, I guess. That is my short review. But another thing that I do have to say is I do like the romance better in this book as opposed to Goldenhand. It's still just as bad. I mean, I wouldn't say just as bad. It's still bad. Garth Nix still sucks at reading, like, writing romance, but it's not as bad. Neither it neither was it really in your face as it was in Goldenhand. It's still better in Terciel and Elinor. I wish that we still had some sort of pacing. Like they thought about each other when they were in their respective POVs before they met. There was some snippets, there was some breadcrumbs, you know, maybe a bit more breadcrumbs to show that, oh, they really did take an interest in each other. Because in this book, like they met, and then he's already like, oh, I hope she's okay. I really want to, he's already thinking about her. And they just met like 5 seconds ago. And I'm just like, that is not realistic, you know? And then it's like they finally met up physically again after like 6 months. Next thing you know, they're already in bed together. And I'm just like, it doesn't work like that. I mean, there's some cute scenes, so it is better than Goldenhand, but still, calm down. Just relax. Just relax with the pacing of the romance because it just felt forced in a way. I mean, I like them together, don't get me wrong, but I wish there was still some pacing. I wish that we had some scenes of them being cute together rather than them just like they met, they hooked up, and then happily ever after. There's no like breadcrumbs in between these three plot points. I do have to say, there's a lot of things I have to say, but the last thing I have to say on this review is I felt kind of sad that Elinor saw her future. She saw that she's going to die giving birth, and she saw that Sabriel died at first, then Sabriel came back. So I felt sad for her that she has a timeline of only 10 years. But at the same time, I didn't feel too sad because she took it like a champ. She's like, you know what? I'm just gonna make the best of things. I got 10 years. We're gonna make it the best 10 years of my life. And yeah, that is my short review for Terciel and Elinor.